You are listening to part 5 of the new ebook by David Chase Taylor entitled The East Star Apocalypse, Mayan Apocalypse expected to commence on Easter Sunday, April 21, 2019, followed by end of Maya calendar on Halloween, October 31, 2020. Chapter 67, Spaceship Earth. The notion that the Death Star, that is, the International Space Station, exists in reality is corroborated by the fact that Spaceship Earth is a geodesic sphere that serves as the symbolic structure of the Epcot theme park at Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida. In short, it appears that Spaceship Earth is a veiled tribute to the sphere-like Death Star, which is currently serving as the spaceship which will enable the ruling class of the Greco-Roman Empire to survive the impending apocalypse. Interestingly, the 15-minute ride within Spaceship Earth allows passengers to travel back in time to witness the origins of prehistoric man before traveling forward in time to witness important breakthroughs in communication throughout history. At the conclusion of the ride, passengers have the chance to design their own future using touch screens that are embedded within the ride cars. The notions of time travel appear to be a veiled reference to the neo-prehistoric origins of man in the futuristic New World post-apocalypse. Needless to say, whomever is alive at that time will be allowed to design the future of Earth. Interestingly, the logo of Spaceship Earth mimics those found in the American and Russian space programs exactly. For example, International Apollo Mission 55, Salyut Program, Soyuz Trademark 3, Soyuz Trademark 5, etc., which suggests that it is in fact based on a prototype of the actual Death Star which the said space programs helped build for use during the impending apocalypse. This notion is corroborated by the fact that the logo of Epcot depicts Spaceship Earth passing through what appears to be the rings of Saturn, which is specifically why the Death Star was built in the first place. Lastly, the notion that Spaceship Earth is a veiled tribute to the actual Death Star was foreshadowed back on December 6, 2016, when it was reported that Spaceship Earth was transformed into the Death Star, further invoking the notion that it exists in reality. Chapter 68, The Second Coming of ISS, Jesus. Because the Greco-Roman Empire in Greenland evidently vacated Earth for the safety of the International Space Station, that is, the Death Star, on May 5, 2016, hence the name of the Maya calendar, they will return to Earth at a later date, possibly on April 1, 2022. April Fool's Day. This is evidently why the Death Star was first introduced in the film entitled Star Wars, Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, for the plan is to return to Greenland of Denmark, an acronym which forms the name of God, G/J+D, which is consonantly speaking the same as Jedi, G/J+D. Because the ascension of ISS to outer space is essentially the story of Jesus ascending into heaven, the name of Jesus, J+S+S, is consonantly speaking one letter off from misuse, S+S, and Jesus, H+S+S, a Celtic god worshipped in Scotland which coincidentally mirrors the Greco-Roman goddess of Isis, S+S. That is why the 18th century Druidic revivalist Iolo Morgambe identified Sus, S+S, with Jesus, J+S+S, based in part on the strength of the similarity between their respective names. The ichthys, a basic symbol consisting of two intersecting arcs that resembles the profile of a fish, was reportedly used as a Christian symbol in the first decades of the 2nd century. Its popularity among Christians was allegedly due to the fact that the 5 initial letters of the Greek word for fish, ichthys, describes the character of Christ, Asus Christos Theouios Sota, Eta Sigma Omicron Sigma Chi Rho Iota Sigma Tau Sigma, Theta Epsilon Omicron Upsilon Sigma, Sigma Omega Tau Rho, meaning Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior. In other words, Asus, S+S, was the first word to describe the deity which is now referred to as Jesus. The Catholic Church corroborated this notion a few hundred years later when Pope John Paul II published a declaration on August 6, 2000, officially declaring that the title of Dominus Iesus translated to the Lord Jesus in English. Although the vowels have been changed, the consonant letters of SNs are the same. In other words, Iesus, S+S, is the official name of Jesus according to the Catholic Church, who not only wrote the Holy Bible but are admittedly the sole Church of Christ according to the Nicene Creed. Naturally, therefore, they have the final word on the official name of Jesus. Consequently, the worship of Sus, Jesus, Asus, Isus or Jesus is the unintentional worship of the Greco-Roman goddess of Isis and thereby ISS, International Space Station, for she is what will save the Greco-Roman Empire from destruction during the impending apocalypse. The lyrics to the Green Day song entitled Wake Me Up When September Ends, 2005, is an apparent music tribute to the return of the Death Star to Earth. The song's ominous lyrics state, Here comes the rain again. Falling from the stars. As my memory rests. But never forgets what I lost. Wake me up when September ends. Translation: A. Although the Greco-Romans are distraught about losing their empire, they have rested their memories of the past. And B. The Greco-Roman Empire plans to start a new reign of Earth from their Death Star, that is, the International Space Station, likely via falling spaceships or space probes. Lastly, because the lettering equates to the X symbol in the Roman score, that is, the original numeric alphabet, the term Green Day equates to Greek's Day or Greek's Day. Chapter 17, Mars, Mother of ISS, Mary, Mother of Jesus. Chapter 69, Planet Mars. When the apocalypse finally commences in 2019, Earthlings will be subjected to whatever the Creator has in store for them. Meanwhile, the elite of the Greco-Roman Empire will be hiding out on the International Space Station, that is, the Death Star, most likely on the other side of our solar system, where they are desperately hoping to avoid extinction. Although only conjecture, it appears that Death Star hitched a ride on the back of Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, Neptune, Uranus or Venus, one of which will likely be positioned on the other side of the Sun when the apocalypse finally commences. The book series entitled The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 1978, is an apparent tribute to this most sinister plan of the Greco-Roman Empire, who hopes that hiding behind a planet on the other side of the Sun will somehow save them from the transformative effects of the black hole otherwise known as the Orion Nebula. Based on Mars, the Greco-Roman god of war, Hollywood's obsession with the Red Planet, for example, Mission to Mars, 2000, Their Red Planet, 2000, The Martian, 2015, etc., and the prominence of Mars within popular culture, it appears that the Death Star plans to hide out on the other side of Mars during the apocalypse. That being said, the elite of the Greco-Roman Empire may have built an extensive underground bunker system within Mars itself, which they hope shields them from the devastating effects of the impending apocalypse. Despite allegedly being void of water, the hope is that Mars provides a natural shield for the Death Star and or her inhabitants the event that the Orion Nebula emits a shock wave of light or energy, that is radiation, across the universe as expected. The term More, M+R, and Ma, M+R, is consonantly speaking the same, for the Empire hopes that Mars gives them more time to rule planet Earth. Considering the Greco-Roman Empire's obsession with numerology, the Death Star will likely be the third so-called planet from the Sun, the same position as Earth, that is, third rock from the Sun. The creation of the Death Star is evidently why Pluto was demoted as a planetary body in 2012 in order to make way for the newly commissioned Greek star, that is, the G-star, whose name has been popularized via the brand G-star Ra, which was established in 1989. The Greco-Roman god of Ra is coincidentally the sun god, and the G-star, that is, the Death Star, evidently plans to hide behind Mars and the Sun, which coincidentally powers it, giving new credence to the terms suncreen and sunblock, which were popularized during the 1980s due to the epidemic of skin cancer which these very products cause due to them containing aluminum. Lastly, aside from being a titular tribute to Mars, the band 30 Seconds to Mars released a song entitled Rescue Me, 2018, whose lyrics state in part, "Whatever you do, don't ever play my game. Too many years being the king of pain. You got to lose it all if you wanna take control. Sell yourself to save your soul." The lyrics appear to be a veiled reference to the Greco-Roman Empire, who abandoned Earth for the safety of Mars, whom they hope will rescue them so they can regain control of Earth post-apocalypse. Chapter 70, Mount Olympus Mons. In Greek mythology, Mount Olympus is home to the Greek gods, the highest mountain in Greece. Its semantical twin, Olympus Mons, is coincidentally the highest planetary mountain in the universe. It stands roughly 25 kilometers, 15.5 miles, in height and is roughly the size of France. To put this in perspective, Olympus Mons is roughly 2.5 times the height of Mount Everest and is touted the largest volcano, the tallest planetary mountain, and the second tallest mountain currently discovered in the solar system when compared to Vesuvius on Vesta. In short, Olympus Mons bears its respective name because it was designed to serve as the temporary home of the Greco-Romans during the apocalypse. Exactly what role the mountain will play in the survival of the Greco-Romans is not known, but it appears that the mountain is the result of decades of drilling into the core of Mars. Although only conjecture, it appears that an elevator shaft of sorts has been bored into the heart of Mars specifically so that the Death Star can descend into the belly of Mars during the apocalypse. Exactly how deep said shaft is not known, but based on the size of the Death Star, which is estimated to be 15 kilometers in diameter, it appears that a volcanic-like shaft is roughly 2,500 kilometers deep, hence the mountain of rubble surrounding the entrance, Lastly, the books and films entitled Journey to the Center of the Earth, 1959 present, appears to be a veiled tribute to the elevator shaft dug into the center of Mars, which subsequently resulted in the mammoth pile of rubble known as Olympus Mons. Exactly when the Greco-Roman Death Star descended into the heart of Mars is obviously not known, but it appears that it transpired on Descension Day, March 26, 2019, within the Gregorian calendar. This notion is corroborated by the fact that March 26, 2019, marked exactly 1,055 days since the elite of the Greco-Roman Empire vacated Earth for the safety of the Death Star and ultimately Mars back on Ascension Day, May 5, 2016. Because the number 2 doubles as ins within the English alphabet, the number 155, S+S, is consonantly as well as symbolically speaking the same as ISIS and ISS, S+S, A, which is coincidentally the name of the International Space Station, that is, the Death Star. Chapter 71, Olympus Mons and her 3 escape tunnels. The notion that the Death Star is hiding out on Mars during the apocalypse was first foreshadowed back on October 13, 2016, when Sputnik News report entitled Watch Real Death Star of Star Wars appeared near Mars, which states that American physicists from the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, LLNL, showed how Phobos, the largest satellite of Mars, transformed into the Death Star from Star Wars. Roughly 9 months later, on July 20, 2017, the Daily Mail published a report entitled, Photobomb by a Death Star, NASA reveals Hubble images of Mars, which states that, when NASA astronomers analyzed the latest Hubble images, they noticed a strange star. On further investigation, it emerged the series of images from Hubble inadvertently also captured its moon, Phobos, famed for its resemblance to the Star Wars Death Star. Olympus Mons, the apparent base of the Death Star on Mars, bears the same geometry found with the Death Star as well as CERN, which was tasked with building said Death Star, in that it contains a smaller circle within a circle. Needless to say, this confirms, albeit in a de facto manner, that Olympus Mons is a man-made phenomenon. Although only conjecture, it appears that the larger circle contains the Mars colony depicted in scores of Hollywood films such as The Martian, 2015, which likely provided the manpower for the operation that dig the 2,500-kilometer shaft into the heart of Mars. The smaller circle appears to be the entrance to the shaft which the Death Star will descend into. Given the guesstimated 15-kilometer diameter of said Death Star, the shaft bored into the heart of Mars is likely 25 kilometers in diameter. The 3 mountains adjacent to Olympus Mons appears to be 3 different escape routes for the Death Star in the event that the original shaft is destroyed or becomes inoperable during the apocalypse. That is to say that the 3 alleged volcanoes located near Olympus Mons were likely dug so that the Death Star has options in respect to their escape from Mars post-apocalypse. Coincidentally, artistic renditions of the Martian colony atop Olympus Mons features a massive Death Star-like spherical space station descending into a man-made crater. A coincidence? Not a chance. Chapter 72, Olympus Mons in Popular Culture. Because Olympus Mons will in theory enable the Greco-Romans to survive the apocalypse via their entombed Death Star, it is naturally celebrated within the popular culture of Earth. In Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars trilogy novels entitled Red Mars, 1992, Green Mars, 1993, and Blue Mars, 1996, Mars undergoes a centuries-long program of terraforming, that is, earth-shaping, which confirms the notion, albeit in a de facto manner, that Olympus Mons is man-made and took over a century to create. In Robinson's companion book entitled The Martians, 1999, the escarpment is the scene of an epic multi-pitched rock climb, yet another veiled reference to the massive mountain which the Greco-Romans must metaphorically climb in order to survive the apocalypse. In Robinson's book entitled Icinge, 1984, Mars is in the process of being shaped for human survival and is home to an annual festival which suggests that it plays a key role in the survival of the Greco-Romans. In the book by Bud Sparhawk entitled Olympus Mons, 1998, the Olympus Mons is the setting for a 21st century downhill race which appears to be a veiled reference to the space race which was media and political cover for the construction of the Death Star which will descend into the volcanic shaft of Olympus Mons during the apocalypse. The notion that the volcanic shaft of Olympus Mons is empty, thereby enabling the Death Star to descend into the belly of Mars, was confirmed, albeit in a de facto manner, in the video game entitled Martian Gothic, Unification, 2000, in which a research base is established on the surface of Mars after which the volcanic vent of Olympus Mons is explored. In the science fiction novels by Ian Edginton entitled Scarlet Races, 2002, and Scarlet Races, The Great Game, 2006, Olympus Mons is the main base of the British Mars Expeditionary Force. In reality, it serves as the main base of the Greco-Roman Empire during the apocalypse. Lastly, in the science fiction novels by Dan Simmons entitled Ilium/Olympus, 2003 present, Olympus Mons has become the Mount Olympus of Greek mythology who use quantum teleportation in order to recreate Troy on an alternate Earth. Translation: the Greco-Roman Empire escaped from Earth to Mars via the Death Star and are hoping beyond hope that Olympus Mons protects them so that they are able to create a new civilization in the new Earth should they survive the apocalypse. Chapter 73, Olympus Mons Comic Series. The series of comics by French artist Christopher Beck appear to be a play-by-play account of events taking place on Mars just prior to the apocalypse on Earth. Beck is evidently a paid ghostwriter who is being fed information by the Greco-Romans in respect to these science fiction-like events. The notion that Mars and her Olympus Mons will serve as home to the Death Star during the apocalypse is corroborated by the cover of Olympus Mons Volume 2, Exercise Main Brace, 2018, which coincidentally depicts a metallic inverted Death Star-like object buried within the surface of Olympus Mons. In other words, the comic cover depicts a concave-like design of the Death Star buried on the surface of the red plant. This notion is corroborated by the cover of the Beck's first comic entitled Olympus Mons Volume 1, Anomaly 1, 2017, which depicts a massive man-made metallic structure arising out of the crater of Olympus Mons. The synopsis of Anomaly 1 states that, it is 2026, and strange phenomena is occurring. On Mars, cosmonauts find a series of enigmatic objects, a trail that leads them to the slopes of Olympus Mons and an incredible discovery. Said incredible discovery appears to be a veiled reference to the fact that Olympus Mons is home to the Death Star. The term Anomaly 1 appears to be a veiled reference to the Star Wars film entitled Rogue One, 2016, which coincidentally depicts the Death Star in its poster. The synopsis of Beck's second comic entitled Olympus Mons Volume 2, Exercise Main Brace, 2018, states that, are the researchers going to cause an apocalypse? On Mars, as on Earth, teams of specialists try to solve the mystery of these connected anomalies. The future of the planet is at stake. The apocalypse is apparently the anomaly which connects Mars and Earth in that her inhabitants are hiding out on the red planet during said apocalypse. The synopsis of Beck's third comic entitled Olympus Mons Volume 3, Hangar 754, 2018, states that, the countdown has begun, the destruction of the planet seems inevitable. The only solution is on Mars. And it is on the red planet that the cosmonaut Lena Shevchenko has been left alone to her fate. And now has the fate of humanity in her hands. The countdown is an apparent reference to the impending apocalypse which the Greco-Romans vacated Earth to escape from. Naturally, the fate of Greco-Romans is now in the hands of Mars. The synopsis of Beck's fourth comic entitled Olympus Mons Volume 4, Millennials, 2018, states that, the apocalypse is near. On Earth, Russians and Americans are playing the Cold War while on the red planet is playing the future of its blue counterpart. The countdown is accelerating. Will Elena Shevchenko manage to avoid the end of the world? With the apocalypse nigh, the Greco-Romans are desperately trying to blow up the world in a sadistic blood sacrifice offered up to their attempted survival during the apocalypse. Naturally, an all-out nuclear war between America and Russia would ensure this. Lastly, the synopsis of Beck's fifth comic entitled Olympus Mons Volume 5, In the Shadow of the Sun, 2019, states that, in the Barents Sea, the Russian and American armies fight each other with missiles to control the area and the Anomaly 1. The countdown will not be so easy to stop. The veiled reference to nuclear World War III between America and Russia, as well as the countdown to the apocalypse, confirms that Olympus Mons is in fact the current base of the Greco-Romans which they are hoping beyond hope will enable them to survive the impending apocalypse. Book 18, The Alien Invasion Hoax. Chapter 74, Project Bluebeam. Aside from the creation of Area 51 in 1955, there have been numerous state-sponsored projects and studies which were created in order to sell the notion that evidence of aliens and UFOs exist on a governmental level. This was evidently done in order to substantiate claims of alien and UFO activity just prior to denying it, making the notion of a cover-up seem all the more plausible. In other words, if the government routinely acts like it's hiding something, then people are more apt to believe that what they are pretending to hide actually exists. These projects and studies include but are not limited to Project Sign, 1947, Estimate of the Situation, 1948, Project Grudge, 1949, Project Magnet, 1950, Project Blue Book, 1952, Project Second Story, 1952, and the Condon Committee, 1968, when the Orion Nebula, that is, Sears, Nibiru, Planet 9, Planet X, Rings of Saturn, etc., finally arrives over Earth. The CIA along with various heads of state will predictably cite the aforementioned projects and studies in a premeditative effort to sell the notion that the Earth is undergoing an alien invasion. In other words, evidence from said projects and studies will be cited in the media as undeniable proof that aliens exist and are aggressive in nature. Alien aircraft and authentic-looking alien bodies will predictably be shown on TV. That is why no alien or UFO evidence has ever been released to date, for the CIA is waiting for the arrival of the Orion Nebula before they disclose their so-called evidence. The notion that the arrival of the Orion Nebula will be sold by the CIA-run media as an alien invasion was foreshadowed in the Illuminati game, 1982, which features a card entitled Church of Middle America that depicts a full-scale alien invasion. The Illuminati game has playing cards which in essence predicted the 9/11 attacks, the rise of Obama, as well as the Fukushima disaster. Roughly 12 years later in 1994, French journalist Serge Monast disclosed NASA's Project Blue Beam, which was designed in part to sell the notion that the arrival of a planetary body is inherently man-made in nature, which it obviously won't be. Project Blue Beam will reportedly feature a. man-made earthquakes at precise locations around the world, b. a gigantic space show beamed all over the planet simultaneously which will set loose millions of programmed religious fanatics through demonic possession on a scale never witnessed before, c. a hoax that will make humanity believe that an alien invasion is about to occur in every major city, and d. a second hoax that will make Christians think that the rapture is about to happen. In order to highlight Project Blue Beam just prior to its official activation, News.com. AU published a report on October 26, 2017, entitled Project Blue Beam Conspiracy Theory Suggests NASA Has Secret Plans to Create New World Order. In order to further program humanity for the alleged alien invasion of Earth, scores of Hollywood propaganda films have been released over the last few decades, such as The Arrival, 1996, and Arrival, 2016, which coincidentally debuted at the Venice Film Festival in Italy on September 1, 2016. The movie poster for Arrival depicts a massive disk above planet Earth which was evidently designed to foreshadow the arrival of the Orion Nebula. Lastly, in what appears to be a cinematic tribute to the impending activation of Project Blue Beam, the show entitled Project Blue Book, 2019 present, premiered on a History Channel on January 8, 2019. The alien propaganda show is based off the real-life Project Blue Book, which was one of a series of systematic studies of unidentified flying objects, UFOs, conducted by the United States Air Force, whose stated goals were to a. determine if UFOs were a threat to national security, and b. scientifically analyze UFO-related data. Chapter 75, Alien and UFO Disclosure Trending. In order to program the world for the impending arrival of the Orion Nebula, that is, Sears, Nibiru, Planet 9, Planet X, Rings of Saturn, etc., which will predictably be touted by the CIA-run media as an alien invasion, politicians have been going out of their way to state that an alien disclosure is imminent, one which will eventually manifest itself in reality. Alien and UFO foreshadowing started in earnest back on September 20, 2015, when CIA-sponsored whistleblower Edward Snowden claimed that aliens are trying to make contact with Earth. Then in March of 2016, former First Lady and U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton stated in respect to disclosure that, "I'm going to do it again. There's a new name for UFOs. It's unexplained aerial phenomenon. That's the new nomenclature. I would like us to go into those files and hopefully make as much of it as public as possible. If there's nothing there, let's tell people there's nothing there. If there is something there, unless it's a threat to national security, we ought to share it." Clinton's premeditated statements are key, for they, a. introduced the world to the term unexplained aerial phenomena, UAP, and b. foreshadowed that future UAP will be deemed a threat to national security. Based on Clinton's statement, it can be deduced that the impending arrival of the Orion Nebula will be classified under unexplained aerial phenomenon, UAP, and that the governments of the world will declare the never-before-seen phenomena a threat to national security in order to terrorize and/or possibly cull billions of people. Roughly 2 months later, it was reported on May 26, 2016, that U.S. President Barack Obama would reveal alien and UFO details held by the U.S. before he leaves office, which transpired on January 20, 2017, the date which planetary alignment commenced, albeit a year prior. Roughly 4 months later, author and propagandist Ben Mesrich published a new book on September 6, 2016, entitled The 37th Parallel: The Secret Truth Behind America's UFO Highway, which was further designed to sell the notion that UFOs are real just prior to the arrival of the Orion Nebula. A Hollywood movie with the same title is also forthcoming. On September 23, 2016, roughly 2 weeks after Mesrich's book was released, USA Today published a report entitled Stephen Hawking, If Aliens Call, We Should Be Wary of Answering, which was evidently designed to sell the notion that the impending alien invasion will be violent in nature. That same day, September 23, 2016, Fox News published a report entitled Are Aliens Avoiding Earth?, which suggests that aliens know where Earth is located and are therefore more likely to visit at a future date. Also on September 23, 2016, the BBC published a report entitled What If the Aliens We Are Looking For Are AI?, which was evidently designed to foreshadow the notion that aliens are much smarter than humans, making the likelihood of our survival upon encounter far less likely. Lastly, on January 29, 2017, it was reported that the CIA released thousands of declassified X-files on aliens, flying saucers and other unexplained phenomena, an apparent preview of things to come. Book 19, Harmonic Convergence. Chapter 76, Harmonic Convergence. It is imperative to note that the fulfillment of the 3 days of darkness prophecy and the 37-day recreation period of Earth known as the Apocalypse should not be viewed as the end of the world but rather as the end of the world as we know it. Due to the unprecedented rise in global consciousness, a new age of peace and love will follow the apocalypse. As originally depicted in the Truther.org report from January 25, 2016, entitled Planetary Alignment, Harmonic Convergence, World Peace and the Coming Age of Aquarius, evidence now suggests that Earth is about to experience a rare celestial event known as harmonic convergence. Although this phenomenon allegedly occurred back on August 16 to the 17th, 1987, its inherent side effect of world peace never transpired in reality. Consequently, it now appears that the year of 2018 is when the esoteric prophecy known as harmonic convergence will finally commence, subsequently spawning the long-awaited age of Aquarius, that is, the Messianic Age. Harmonic convergence will reportedly correspond with a great shift in the Earth's energy from warlike to peaceful and usher in a period of Earth's cleansing whereby many of the planet's false structures of separation, for example, banking, government, religion, etc., will simultaneously collapse, forever. The notion that false structures of separation are about to collapse is corroborated by the fact that CIA headquarters located beneath CERN at Lake Geneva in Switzerland has now been exposed for the first time in history. Consequently, harmonic convergence or not, the CIA which controls these false structures is ultimately doomed in time. Harmonic convergence will also bring about the so-called end of history and the beginning of a new 5021-year cycle, that is, the fifth world, as prophesied by the Mayans. Evils of the modern world, for example, assassinations, capitalism, fascism, materialism, poverty, religion, slavery, terrorism, torture, war, etc., will finally cease with the birth of the fifth world. In astronomy, planetary alignment is known as syzygy, meaning yoked together. Considering that a Sun-Earth-Moon-based syzygy can allegedly trigger moonquakes, the arrival of the Orion Nebula, that is, Sirius, Nibiru, Planet 9, Planet X, rings of Saturn, etc., will no doubt have a major physical and/or spiritual effect on Earth. In the Avatar series, harmonic convergence is known as a supernatural phenomenon that occurs once every 10,000 years. When the planets align, spiritual energy is greatly amplified, causing the spirit portals at the North and South Poles to merge, while an aura of spirit energy envelops the Earth. Although the claims made in the Avatar series are fictional and thereby fraudulent in nature, so too was the release of the song The Age of Aquarius, 49 years too early, the purported harmonic convergence date of August 16 to the 17th, 1987, 31 years too early, and the Maya calendar end date of December 21, 2012, 6 years too early. Consequently, it can be deduced that there has been a premeditated effort to deceive humanity in respect to the true date of harmonic convergence, which is intimately tied to the apocalypse. That is to say that if the age of Aquarius is really upon us, we will only know it via celestial-based events, for example, blood moons, blood suns, lunar eclipses, planetary alignment, planetary retrograde, solar eclipses, etc., not via reports from the European Space Agency and NASA. Astrologers believe that planetary alignment affects all of mankind, namely by influencing the rise and fall of civilizations or cultural tendencies. Consequently, the Greco-Roman Empire in Greenland has good reason to hide the true date of harmonic convergence from humanity, for its very survival depends on it. According to astrologer Vera Reid, the age of Aquarius is a time when mankind finally takes control of Earth and its own destiny. This will entail a revolution of enlightenment and truth, as well as the expansion of consciousness. As such, mankind will become the Son of God, that is, the Messiah, saving himself. Lastly, harmonic convergence was foreshadowed in the song entitled The Age of Aquarius, 1969, which states that, when the moon is in the 7th house. And Jupiter aligns with Mars. Then peace will guide the planets. And love will steer the stars. No more falsehoods or derisions. If ever life needed to imitate art, now is the time. Book 20, The Messianic Age to Come. Chapter 77, The Messianic Age. After the Messiah destroys the Roman Empire and its Antichrist, which has now been identified as Barack Hussein Obama II, the world will finally enter the Messianic Age, that is, the world to come, otherwise known as the Age of Aquarius. In short, the Messianic Age is an era of global peace that is free of strife and conducive to the knowledge of the Creator. All religions will subsequently cease and the world will collectively worship the one and only Creator. The Messiah will also inspire all human beings to be one family and create a civilization that is based on sharing and cooperation. The Holy Bible describes this global shift of consciousness in Isaiah 2-4, which states, "They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more." The coming age of peace is also prophesied within Zoroastrianism, which states, "There will come a time when humanity will become like the Amish or Spenters, living without food, without hunger or thirst, and without weapons, or possibility of bodily injury. The material substance of the bodies will be so light as to cast no shadow. All humanity will speak a single language and belong to a single nation without borders. All will share a single purpose and goal, joining with the divine for a perpetual exaltation of God's glory." The Jewish philosopher Maimonides, 1135-1204, described the Messianic Age in the Mishneh Torah, Laws of Kings 12-5, stating that, "There will be no hunger or war, no jealousy or rivalry. For the good will be plentiful, and all delicacies available as dust. The entire occupation of the world will be only to know God. The people Israel will be of great wisdom, they will perceive the esoteric truths and comprehend their Creator's wisdom, as is the capacity of man. As it is written, in Isaiah 11-9, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of God, as the waters cover the sea." The Jewish Kabbalah also states that the Messiah, that is, Messiah ben David, will usher in a period of freedom and peace. According to theosophical literature, the Maitreya, that is, the Messiah, will make the basic needs of humans, for example, food, clothing, education, housing, health care, etc., a universal right. Under the Maitreya's inspiration, humanity itself will make the required changes to create a sensible and more just world for all living beings. The head of the Baha'i faith, Shoghi Effendi, described the Messianic Age as the most great peace. A peace that must inevitably follow as the practical consequence of the spiritualization of the world and the fusion of all its races, creeds, classes and nations. Lastly, in Hinduism, the Messiah is depicted as a new incarnation of the Avatar, that is, the Kalki Avatar, who will fight the apocalyptic snake and achieve the final victory over evil on earth. He will renew humanity and enable people to lead pure and honorable lives. About the author. David Chase Taylor is an American journalist and the editor-in-chief of Truther.org, a state-sponsored terror whistleblower website. Taylor currently lives in Switzerland, where he applied for political asylum on July 17, 2015. Taylor authored The Nuclear Bible, a book credited with foiling a nuclear terror attack upon Super Bowl XLV in Dallas, Texas on February 6, 2011, and Greenland Theory, Apocalypse Now, a book and website exposing the true power structure of the world, especially in respect to Greenland and its primary proxy state of Switzerland, which is coincidentally home to the CIA. Taylor has also published the Bioterror Bible, a book and website exposing the global bioterror pandemic planned for 2015. To date, Taylor has blown the whistle on over 100 state-sponsored terror plots, including the 2012 Democratic National Convention terror plot, the 2011 Super Bowl nuclear terror plot, the 2014 Super Bowl nuclear terror plot, the Terrorgate scandal, the 2014 Memorial Day massacre, the man-made asteroid attack planned for 2015, and the drone strike which killed Fast and Furious star Paul Walker. Taylor was also the first to expose Alex Jones' treacherous links to Stratfor and is noted for the 10 reasons why the Rosetta comet landing was a hoax. Read, World's Most Wanted Whistleblower Journalist David Chase Taylor applies for political asylum in Switzerland. Truther.org legal disclaimer. Truther.org's stated purpose is to stop terrorism by drawing unwanted global attention to terror plots prior to their fruition. Terror alerts and warnings made by Truther.org do not necessarily imply that these terror events will transpire in reality, but rather that there is a distinct possibility that they may occur based on breaking terror-related news, events and data. Historically speaking, once a major false flag terror plot is exposed, it is immediately cancelled, postponed, or reworked. For example, the 2011 Super Bowl nuclear terror plot, the 2014 Super Bowl nuclear terror plot, the 2014 Freedom Tower nuclear terror plot, etc. State-sponsored acts of terror must have a prior paper trail in order to set up patsies, prime scapegoats, create plausible deniability, and mislead the public from the usual suspects of terror which work at the behest of the CIA in Switzerland. Please support real citizen journalism and help make terrorism a thing of the past. Blessed to the peacemakers. Namaste.